Welcome to the weekly dose. Right now the market is in this incredible tug of war. On one side, you have the very real, kind of scary ghost of stagflation looming over everything. But on the other side, a potential high-tech savior, and it's all being powered by AI.
So just so you know, what we're about to go through is a summary of a really detailed report from Augusta Global Insights. If you want to dive deep into their full analysis, we've put the link right there in the description for you.
And really, this is the whole question, isn't it? Is the economy currently cooking up a recipe for total disaster? Or is some powerful AI savior about to swoop in and completely change the game? Let's take a look at the ingredients.
Okay, let's start with the hard data. There were two huge numbers this week that kind of set the stage for everything else.
First up, $19 billion. That's how much the U.S. Treasury spent on its weekly debt buyback, the largest in history. You can think of this as a form of quantitative easing, which is really just a fancy way of saying they're pumping more money into the economy. Now, according to the source, that's a key ingredient for driving up inflation, which makes everything more expensive for all of us.
And here's the second number, $98 a barrel for Brent crude oil. That spike is being driven by geopolitical conflict, creating what's known as a classic supply shock. And as you'll see, rising energy prices, well, they're a huge piece of this whole economic puzzle.
So when you put those two numbers together, they start to paint a bigger and frankly a much more worrying picture. They feed right into an economic threat that has economists on high alert: stagflation.
So what exactly is stagflation? Well, think of it as a toxic economic cocktail. It's when three bad things all happen at the same time. The economy stops growing, more and more people lose their jobs, and the prices for everything just keep going up and up. So remember those three things: slow growth, high unemployment, and high inflation.
Okay, so now that we know what we're looking for, let's see how the latest data stacks up. And yeah, the warning signs are definitely flashing.
Let's start with jobs. The market was expecting a gain of about 58,000 jobs, but the actual number? A loss of 92,000. That is a massive, massive miss, and a huge red flag for that slow growth part of stagflation. The source points out this is only the second time we've seen a monthly job loss since the pandemic. Not good.
And then there's the unemployment rate itself, which ticked up to 4.4%. Now, that number might not seem gigantic by itself, but it's the trend that matters. It's going up. And that checks the second box for stagflation, higher unemployment.
And it's not just one or two data points. The signs of stress are everywhere. You've got global giants like Volkswagen announcing huge job cuts. A record number of Americans are having to take hardship withdrawals from their own retirement accounts. And if you look internationally, markets like the UAE are seeing some really sharp drops. It's a global story.
But, just as the economic picture starts to look its absolute bleakest, a completely different story starts to emerge from the world of technology. Could one company and one massive trend be the savior?
I mean, you gotta ask, right? With all these economic alarms going off, is there any good news out there? Well, it turns out there is, and it's coming from a tech giant.
Just look at this. Oracle absolutely smashed its earnings report. Wall Street expected revenue around $16.9 billion. Oracle came in with over $17 billion. They blew past earnings estimates by more than 15%. I mean, in a market that was bracing for bad news, Oracle hit a grand slam. And they are not taking their foot off the gas. The company just announced a staggering $50 billion in planned spending for their 2026 fiscal year. And guess where almost all of that money is going? Yep, building the massive data centers, the cloud infrastructure that's going to power this whole AI revolution. It's an absolutely enormous bet on the future.
But Oracle isn't going at this alone. It turns out their ambition is actually a central piece of a much, much bigger plan. And it's got a pretty cool sci-fi name, the Stargate Project. So what is the Stargate Project? It's a massive $500 billion plan. The whole goal is to build out a next-generation network of supercomputers and data centers right here in the US, all designed specifically for AI.
And just look at this lineup. It is literally a who's who of the entire AI world. You've got Oracle, Microsoft, NVIDIA, OpenAI, all of them are in on this. This isn't some small side project, it's a huge, coordinated push to secure American dominance in AI.
Now, the source, Augusta Global Insights, has its own interesting take on this. They point out that this project was announced under the Trump administration, and they suggest that the close relationship between Oracle CEO Larry Ellison and the former president might have played a role in why Oracle is so central to this whole thing.
Okay, so we've laid out two totally different stories.
one of economic fear, and one of incredible technological hope. Let's pull it all together and figure out what this all means.
What we're seeing is that classic market tug-of-war. On one side of the rope, you've got the stagflation risks, slowing growth, rising oil, people feeling the financial squeeze, all trying to pull the market down. But on the other side, you have the AI growth opportunities. Amazing earnings from companies like Oracle, massive spending on infrastructure, and huge strategic projects like Stargate, pulling it right back up.
So let's just recap the big picture. Right now, today, that stagflation risk is very real. In the near future, keep an eye on oil prices. The source materials suggest they could spike to $150, maybe even $200 a barrel. But long-term, Oracle is making a play to become the absolute backbone of AI. And it's all being cemented by that massive Stargate project.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? In a market that is being violently torn between economic fear and unbelievable technological hope, which one of these powerful stories is going to win out and define our future?
That's all for this explainer. If you want to go deeper, the link to the full report from Augusta Global Insights is waiting for you in the description. We'll see you next time.